What's up, everybody? Everybody having I hope everyone's having a good Monday night so far. Hope everyone had a good holiday weekend and a safe holiday weekend. For those on TikTok, if you would please hit the like button and share the live, please. Helps push it out. Hey, Murphy, how are you? Hey, Tammy. Southern Sass. You still have non-figures? That's good. Not as good as 10, but not too bad. Hey, Gloria. I was trying to get a podcast out today and it didn't happen. Should get it out tomorrow. Yes, Carson did reach out to me. Hopefully, we are going to get him on the podcast ASAP. Hey, Carolyn, how are you? A lot of different things going on in the news. I'll let y'all stare the topic tonight. Whatever you all would like to discuss. I do want to speak on one thing quickly. I'm trying to, I don't know how to put this and not be misunderstood. So I guess the best thing is just to stay very vague in what I'm trying to say. And this is going to lead me into another quick topic. If you know of there's something going on in the news, say a juvenile has ran away from home, and then he or she is found pretty immediately, and hey, thank you, Shri, and you know their name. Stop posting juveniles' names and information online. It's just not cool. You probably don't want people posting your child's name places, so don't post theirs. I saw something that was concerning to me for a few different reasons. It was sent to me anyway. And I'm going to stay vague, but it's someone that apparently has all of a sudden wants to be a content creator. And makes me think that that's been their goal. And that may be the reason they were involved in some other things that everybody was talking, that a lot of people were talking about. But don't post juveniles' names. And kind of on that same topic, I was thinking about that and discussing that with someone. I think it was Saturday, either Saturday or this morning. I can't remember. And it reminded me of another thing. Be very careful about what you're posting about your children online. These things that go around, and they go around every so often, that it's like, answer these 15 questions. What's your favorite color? What's your son's name? What's their favorite show? I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, those things. Stop answering those things and putting them out. Those are literally put out by hackers. I thought everyone pretty much knew that over the last few years, but obviously they don't, because I've started seeing quite a few of those going around again. Those are put out there by hackers and child predators to gain information, what we call to elicit information from you. And that means they're questioning you and asking you personal information when you don't even realize you're giving it to them. But think about that. Now, I don't have a problem with you posting your family's pictures and stuff like that on social media. That's not what I'm talking about. But posting personal information about your children is not safe. Posting personal information about yourself is not safe. And I'm very paranoid about that and very careful with it, such as when we go on vacation, we don't post anything about it or talk about it till after we're back. Because we don't want people to know that we're out of town. Especially if it's just me out of town. I don't want people to know that my family's by themselves. But a lot of people do that every day. Not smart. Now, someone sent me someone's profile the other day asking me how I felt about it. And it was someone's social media profile, and literally everything posted on there that this person posted on there was just of their kids. Tons of pictures of their kids. You couldn't find one person of a picture of them. That's strange. You don't want people to see pictures of you, but you're posting your children everywhere. Does anyone disagree with me that that's strange? It was strange to someone else. That's why they sent it to me. And as soon as I looked at it, I was like, that's very strange. I agree. It's weird. If I can go on your social media profile and find 50 pictures of your children and not one of you, that's strange. Now, again, if you want to post pictures of your family and your kids and stuff, that's cool. I'm not talking about that. Now, I've had one of my best friends before in the past called me frantic one day and was like, hey, this guy sent a message to my wife on social media, and I don't remember exactly what the message said, but it was something about, hey, your son's cute. And this was a grown man, and their kid was, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years old. And he was like, this is weird. We don't know this man. And why would, and it freaked her out. Well, I looked the guy up. He's a child predator. He's a sex offender. Needless to say, not only did they immediately take down every picture of their children everywhere, I'm pretty sure they've probably never posted another one. You have to be careful. Could be very self-conscious of their own looks, but proud of their children. I get that, and you're probably right. I just don't. I don't agree, and this is just my personal opinion, by the way. It's strange to me that you don't want people seeing what you look like, but you don't mind them seeing your children. It's just strange to me. Again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. Just my personal opinion. Yeah, and that's a good idea. She said, privatize the photos so only those you allow to see your kids can, but stranger can't. And we don't post pictures of our children very often at all. Like I've got a few posted of me and my son when we've gone on adventures and hikes and things like that. And like we like to go hiking a lot and out in Colorado and stuff. But other than that, we have I can't remember the name of the website, but there's some kind of app where my wife posts all the pictures of our kids for our family, and then they get a link to that app, and they can all get on there and look at the updated pictures and things we've been doing lately and things like that for grandparents and aunts and uncles and things. But most importantly, the one thing I wanted to speak about was these things that go around. You see them a lot on Facebook, asking you all the questions of, ask your kid what's their favorite show, or there's 1,000 different ones, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Stop answering those. Those are literally put out there by hackers and child predators. You're giving a lot of personal information out. Think about this. When you sign up for a higher security profile for maybe your doctor's office, like I'm thinking like the VA, when I have to sign into the VA, and they ask you they have the security questions, as they call them. Look at all those questions and then go and find one of those posts I'm talking about on social media. Every single one of those is pulled from those security questions. Every single one of them. What's your best friend's name? Who was your best friend growing up? What was your first pet's name? Those are the questions on those things, and people don't even realize it. That's why they're putting those out, so they can gain all this information on you. And then you wonder how you get hacked, because you just put out all your information on there. If you get those security questions, I can get your phone number. I can get anybody's phone number on here in about 3 minutes. Open source, which means from a non-government website that I have access to, that anybody can get access to. You have to pay for it, but anybody get access to it. I can get any one of your phone numbers at any time. I can get your address and get your home address anytime. Your email address. Then all I need, if I get your security questions, answers to your security questions, I can gain access to any account you have. Because I can go in and I can say forgot password. And I can mirror your email address where it actually sends it to me instead of you. And then the only security threshold that I have to cross then is answering those security questions. That's it. And if you've answered one of those things, or a couple of them for sure, all I got to do is look on your social media profile and pull them out. I can hack into any account you have. Your email, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Watch any of the Tyler Robinson. Is it Robinson or Robertson? I think it's Robinson. I think you're right. Hearing today. No, I did not. I didn't figure there would be much to it, but I may be wrong. My thoughts on him, I don't know. I 100% believe he was involved. I'm not convinced he acted alone at all. I'm not. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about every theory that has crossed my mind as far as who all is involved or if others are involved. But I'll say this, there's a lot of things if it were to come out that it wouldn't surprise me. But no doubt he was involved. He was involved. And so if you have not listened to Sean Ryan, just had Candace Owens on his podcast. If you have not listened to it, it's really good. It is real good. I used to follow Candace, loved her, respected her. Then as soon as the Charlie Kirk thing happened, she went off the rails. And I was like, she's legit losing her mind. And she was saying a lot of just strange stuff that didn't make sense. I've not paid any attention to her since. I haven't watched her at all. I see highlights that are posted here and there and some of the things she says. And I know that she's now 1,000 times said, I'm going to post, I got the receipts and I'm going to show them tomorrow. And then it never happens on some of this strange stuff. But I listened to her on Sean Ryan and it changed my opinion, my current opinion about her. I'll say that it did. I don't think she has lost her mind. She's very cognitive of everything. She's not a crazy person. Half the stuff that she believes or thinks is strange or whatever about the Charlie Kirk incident is complete nonsense. Like it's just crazy stuff. Half of it could have some truth to it. So as far as Erica Kurt and Candace's thoughts on her, I still 100% think Candace is extremely jealous of Erica, always has been, and that's all that is. Because she has absolutely zero evidence at all that Erica Kurt was involved in that. None. Even though she has stated multiple times she does. Listen to that podcast. She has none. She has a big problem with 11 days after Charlie was taken, that Erica was laughing on a Zoom call. That's nonsense. That's crazy. I'm glad that she was able to smile or laugh or something for a minute. Most of us, if not all of us, have lost people very close to us. Now, hopefully most of us have not lost a spouse, and that is different. Thankfully, I've never lost a spouse. I've never lost a child, thankfully. I've lost both my parents, or my grandparents, and that's who raised me. They're my parents. I've lost both of them. I didn't go 2 weeks without laughing or smiling. In fact, probably the same day at some point, or at least the next day, I would laugh about something to stay sane. There's nothing strange about Erica laughing on a Zoom call 11 days after her husband was taken. Nothing. I don't want anyone crawled off into a corner for 2 weeks straight crying. That's not healthy. That's not good at all. Now, if you do, that's normal too. There's no wrong way to act as far as those two things when you lose someone close like that. But that's one of Candace's big things. And that's nuts. And I can't remember I was going to actually take some notes. I don't remember everything else, but not once did she say anything involving Erica that made me think, that's suspect. Not once. Nothing she said about Erica that concerned her concerned me. Another thing that Candace, and it blows my mind, Candace is not dumb. She's very intelligent. And she's made a lot of money. And she has a team of people that work for her. It blows my mind that she has no one that knows anything about emergency medicine that has told her anything. That blows my mind. Candace said 3 or 4 times on that podcast how the Charlie Kirk's security team is suspicious to her. And one of the reasons is because they said they didn't start CPR because they were trying to stop his neck from bleeding. And she was like, you don't do that. You give CPR. No, you don't. Anyone that's trained in emergency medicine will tell you have to stop the bleed first. I literally used to go around teaching a class to high schools, teachers, and college professors called Stop the Bleed. You you have to stop the bleed first. Because if you bleed out, doesn't matter if your heart's pumping or not. Everyone, again, that has any knowledge of emergency medicine will tell you that. I thought, which again, it's sometimes I don't put myself in everybody else's situation. I just think that's common sense. And I understand it's probably not to most people that know nothing about emergency medicine, but trust me, that's 100% you stop the bleed first. Then you worry about CPR. 100% of the time. If someone is bleeding out and you're doing CPR, guess what you're doing? Making them bleed out faster. That's literally what you're doing. You're pumping their heart and it's going to make them bleed out faster. It's the opposite of what you should do. She said that 3 or 4 times. And I'm just like, you don't have anybody on your team, Candace, that has any knowledge of this that can say, hey, you're going to make yourself look dumb like with talking about that. And it's like a big deal to her because, she mentioned it 3 or 4 times on there. So that was another thing. I'm like, Candace, hell, Google it. Google it. And this is one thing. Now, I'm a huge Sean Ryan fan, always have been. He's a legit, down-to-earth, genuine man. And I respect him more than any other famous person I know, by far. And I respect his opinion, and I love his podcast. He's amazing at it. He is literally one of the best in the world at it. 10,000 times better than me. So don't misunderstand me. And nobody's perfect. And there's no one that I'm going to always agree 100% with. No one. That would be weird. I wish some of his interviews that he would push back a little bit, but he won't. He doesn't. And again, trust me, I know how dumb it sounds for me to act like I should tell Sean Ryan how to run his podcast. I'm not trying to do that. I just, simple things like that, I wish he would, because I know he knows that. I know he knows that answer. I wish he would just push back a little bit and say, well, let's move on from that, so you're not keep talking about it. But anyway, that was another thing that Candace just doesn't know what she's talking about, and it's an easy, Googleable answer. Oh, sorry, I'm reading a comment. Well, not Dr. Phil. Now it's circulation first. Yeah, you stop the bleed first. And it hasn't always been, that's not how it is always taught. When I first got in the military, I don't think that's how it was taught. But for the last 10 years, and definitely when I went through EMT school and everything, it's 100% you stop the bleed first. That is your number one priority. You stop the bleed first, then you go down the list. But anyway. And so I can't remember everything else that Candace said that I was just like, that's crazy. But again, I didn't disagree with her on everything by any means. There were quite a few things that she said that makes a lot of sense and that I agree with her. And I do think that there's way more to what happened to Charlie Kirk than just a random guy that was crazy and went and took him out. I do think there's more to it. Now, again, I probably ran through 30 other theories with that. But it did change my opinion of her. And I probably will start watching her a little now. Again, there's still going to be a lot I don't agree with her on. And I wish she would just, unless she ever actually has any factual evidence saying that Erica's involved whatsoever, then she needs to move on from that and focus on actually who was possibly involved. Her big, yes, that Southern Sass, that is one of the things she said, but she specifically had a problem with them saying that, with the one saying that he was worrying about stopping the bleed instead of CPR, and she was like, "You don't do that. Everybody knows that." And I'm like, "No." Also, I do not think that his security team was involved. I don't think that at all. Are they the best of the best? No, obviously not. Because the person they were paid to protect, they weren't successful. But I don't think they were involved. Especially the main guy. I just don't. I've listened to his interview. I've heard him talk a few times. Nothing stands out strange to me about him. I don't think he was involved. Her thing about the maroon shirts. That's nonsense. I've never heard that. That's nonsense. It doesn't even make sense. You wouldn't want to all wear the same colored shirts because that may stand out, especially a maroon. But you don't want to stand out. If you were involved, and I'm talking about the people that she thinks was involved, you're not going to stand out. If you're a professional, and obviously if there are others behind this, then they're professionals. They're not going to stand out. They're not going to do anything that's going to stand out. You're not going to be able to watch a video of that and be able to pick those out. You're not. If they're professionals, you're not. They know how to blend in. So that's nonsense too. And I wish she would realize, I wish someone close to her would talk some sense into her and say, look, you need to just focus on this stuff that's a decent possibility instead of also throwing in this nonsense stuff. Because again, she has the money. Hell, hire someone to advise you on what they think, on a professional that would know these answers, and ask them, Candace, instead of you're talking some nonsense. So if she would just stick to the things that could possibly be true, the theories that could be true, she wouldn't have lost as many followers as she has. Instead of pretending that she's a body language expert, a security expert, a special ops expert, a medical expert. You're none of those things, Candace. You're really good at what you do. You're very intelligent. Stick to that. And her exploding mic theory. I'm not saying something like that's not possible to happen to somebody, that professionals couldn't set that up. I'm saying it makes absolutely no sense why they would do that in this situation. None. And at some point, you got to look at that. You got to be like, why would they do that? You got to. Charlie Kirk was shot. That absolutely no doubt about that. He was shot. Now, I'm not one. I do think Tyler Robinson is the one who did that. I'm not 100% convinced on that, though. But I am 100% convinced he was shot because I've seen the video more times than I could count now. Slow motion. That's what happened to him. And again, anyone with sense in those areas are going to say the same thing. It looks like she would have people close to her that would know some of those things and say, hey, let's move past that. Because number one, doesn't make sense. Why would they pretend to shoot him and then blow him up? You gotta look at that and think, what sense does that make? It doesn't. $1 million question. You think it was a 30-06? I've shot them a lot. Here's the thing. That is 100% about ballistics, which means the actual projectiles, and absolutely nothing to do with the firearm. That's where most people get it wrong. That is 100% in the projectile you're firing. Ballistics is very, very complicated, but then on the other hand, it's very simple. If you don't understand ballistics, it's very complicated. I'm not an expert on ballistics. I've been taught, I've sat in the classroom and taught by literally the world's best expert on ballistics. I can say that. Now, I don't know everything he knows by any means. It was like a 4-day class, but I did learn a lot from him. And it's very interesting, and learned certain things that we're not going to discuss because I don't want everybody knowing. But it's way more in the ballistics than the weapon. Everybody is focusing on the weapon, and just because the projectiles they have fired out of that specific weapon would do something different, they think they all like that. That is not the case. For instance, and I'm not going to tell you what, the exact type or anything, the grain, but the projectile that I have in my 9mm will do more damage to you if it hits you than a 45. That's one reason most everybody is moving to carrying 9mm now, especially military, law enforcement, and hardly anyone's left carrying a 40s, or 40s are gone. 40 calibers are literally becoming obsolete. They're about to stop producing them because they're just obsolete now. But a lot of most people don't carry 45s anymore because ballistics, they are making projectiles now in the 9mm, which are much lighter, much smaller. You can carry more rounds. You can have more rounds in the weapon, all that good stuff, cheaper, that they will actually do more damage to a person when hit than any 45 caliber projectile. The amount of times when I've told people that, and they look at me like I'm crazy, and some even tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I've tested this. We've tested it numerous times. That's the truth. So, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people because they don't understand anything about ballistics. Same thing. On SWAT, we carried a 308 rifle, and I've had people say, that's dumb. How do you, if you fire that, that's going to go through 4 houses and hit the neighbor 10 doors down if you have to fire a shot in the house. No, it has everything to do with the projectiles we carry in those. And there's specific projectiles that we can carry in a 308 that will penetrate a person the perfect 6 inches, which is what it should, and then stop. That's what you want. And that's a 308. So it's all about the ballistics. So people are putting way too much too many theories into that weapon. So it absolutely could have been a 30-06. 100% could have been. Depends on what projectile he had in there. That's what it has to do with. So hopefully that makes sense. But for a law enforcement ammunition, the absolute perfect projectile will penetrate a body 6 inches and then stop. It won't go 9 inches. It won't go 3. It'll go around 6 inches and then stop. And that's the perfect projectile, because you don't want to be firing projectiles that's going to go through someone and then take out 10 other people. That's not what you want. So could he have had a similar projectile in his 30-06? Absolutely. They exist. Now, I don't know what kind of projectile he had, but absolutely. Sherry, what it? Well, and Sherry, your number one word, and I'm not trying to down you or anything. This is just word analysis. You start out up here, I feel that this wasn't, and I understand that, and that is how most people think. But in an evidentiary based situation such as this, anyone that uses the word feel, you got to throw that theory out, because you probably do feel that, but feelings cannot have any involvement in actual investigation. And as soon as feelings become involved, that investigation is shot. So you can't. And so for me, in a situation like that, I've trained myself and I have enough experience to block my feels out of something like that when I'm looking at it, and just focus on, all right, what's the evidence and what are we looking at? Now, they still creep in sometimes, and hopefully most of the time I catch myself and pull them back out. But that's just what you have to be very careful of. And another thing that Candace is very guilty of, and a lot of people fall into this, including a lot of investigators, is confirmation bias. Candace immediately had this theory in her head about what happened. And so now every single thing she looks at, she's confirming her theory. And you have to be, again, that'll ruin an investigation as well. We're all guilty of it. We all fall into that at some point. But really good investigators are able to stop them. They recognize when confirmation bias starts coming into play, and they stop themselves and back up. Sorry, I had a little visitor come in. And Sherry, and I've had this discussion with a lot of people. You say she acted like this really didn't bother her. And first off, the thing all over Vance, that's nonsense. That is nonsense. That's one of the craziest things I've seen. When people started pulling, like trying to pull from that, I'm like, y'all are stretching way hard, and then that's crazy. Like, this is a serious thing. I'm considered an expert on body language, and nothing about that's crazy, just to be honest with you. That's absolutely nuts. Over a hug and where she placed her hand on a hug, like, that's crazy. Y'all, how many people, here's what you have to ask yourself. How many grieving widows that just had their husband executed on national TV or world TV, how many of those widows have you then observed hugging one of their husband's best friends? I'll wait for your answer to that. I'm going to guess that's probably the first one ever. But she hugged him wrong? How can you say that? You have no idea what a widow that's just gone through all that, how they're going to hug their husband's best friend after that. You have no idea because you've not witnessed it. Maybe you've witnessed it once. Let's say if you've witnessed it 5 times, which nobody has, that still doesn't make you an expert on, is that right or wrong? So we can't look at that. You can't take that into account as evidence of anything. That's just crazy. And I don't mean crazy in a degrading way or anything. I don't mean that I think you're crazy. That's just the word I use in that. But you're obviously you're not the only one that feels that way. Thousands and thousands of other people do, and there's just nothing to it. I've never ran my hand through a man's hair other than my husband. Again, you weren't raised like Erica Kurt. You weren't raised in the same place she was. You weren't raised by her parents. You haven't been to the same school. You didn't go to the same school she went to. You didn't have the same boyfriend she's had. You didn't have the same girlfriends that she had. You didn't have the same husband she had. You didn't have the same husband's best friend that she had. And you've never had your husband executed on world television. So you can't judge someone based off of their actions on that kind of stuff during those tragic times. You can't. There's no right way to act and there's no wrong way to act in that situation. And that's just a fact. There is no wrong way to grieve and there's no right way to grieve. And here's the thing, every single person that you've ever known in your entire life will react differently to tragic situations. Every single one of you. How can you say we can agree? You're disagreeing with what I'm saying? Are you disagreeing that you've never had a husband executed on world TV? Are you disagreeing that you weren't raised the same way Erica Kurt was and by the same parents? And my point is, you and Erica Kurt are two completely different people. So why do you expect her to act just like you would? And that's the thing you have to realize. Why are you expecting a completely different person to act the exact same way that you do? You can't expect that. And Christina has a good point too, and I've seen those. I don't even feel I don't even like acting like I even have to reason with you on that, but she makes a good point. There are several photos of Erica Kurt hugging other people throughout different times, and she's hugged them the same way. So again, everybody's different. And also, by the way, for anybody, especially if you're new or something, I love the disagreement as long as we can discuss it and debate it like adults like this. I love this. So don't be afraid to disagree with me. I'm not going to block you and get pissed at you or something like that. I enjoy that. I didn't say you weren't allowed to have an opinion. I will say this. You say you had a friend whose husband was murdered and it was tragic. That has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. Because your friend's completely different than Erica Kurt. My point is, everybody's different and every single person reacts different to those tragic situations. You've always made that clear that we're not all meant to think just alike. Yeah, and I don't want you, if everyone on here always agreed with everything I said, this would be worthless and there would be no need of me getting in up here and on live and talking. That would be weird. So if you disagree with me, I don't think bad of you. I don't think you're dumb. I don't think you're ignorant, nothing like that. I'm not always right. The reason I'm saying her husband was tragically murdered and the grieving is because there's no way, like, that's not something Erica Curtis ever planned on or trained in, and she was not prepared for that. And so, and a big difference in her and most everybody else you've ever known, and everybody else I've ever known, from the time that that happened to their husband, cameras weren't on them. The world was literally watching Erica Kurt's every move, and that's stressful in all other ways, and it's not fair. And if I followed you around with a camera every single time you're out in public, if I had you on video for 2 weeks after something tragic happened to your family, I would be able, if I wanted to, I'd be able to pick up all kinds of things that I'd be like, hey, that's weird. And but we don't do, that's not fair, because everybody's going to react different to grief. And she didn't know how to act. Like, she wasn't used to the camera being on her all the time. Like, that was all completely new. All completely new. And she didn't know what to do. There's no playbook. That, hey, your husband is running a multi-million-dollar organization, hundreds of millions. It's worth hundreds of millions. He's no longer here all of a sudden. I've got 2 young children, but I also have this business that my husband has put every single thing he's ever had into this. And like, what do you do? Do you let the business just, I wish it well? Some will, some won't. It's just, and Erica didn't go out and like hire the media to follow her around everywhere. She didn't have a choice. I mean, that's just part of being in the public life like that. She don't have a choice. Now, do I think there was some people part of Turning Point and part of that PR team that was trying to take some of that situation and use it to grow? Yes. And is that right? No. I do think that. Or, well, I say, is that right? I don't agree with that. But again, pretending like this very young widow all of a sudden should know what to do, that's nuts. Nobody would know what to do in that situation. There's no way you can prepare for that. No way. You have proof that she asked to be filmed, Southern Sass? I'm asking you. But I guarantee you there's a lot of things that she did that probably even already now, she probably looks back and sees and like, why did I do that? Like, that's stupid. Like, I shouldn't have done that. Because again, this all happened so fast. And so I'm sure she probably second guessing a lot of the things that she did. She had a lot of people telling her 10 different directions to go. It's not like she was just in a room by herself and able to think this stuff through and that she decided, hey, let's do this, let's do that. That's not what happened. She had 20 different people trying to pull her 20 different directions, and she probably was just saying, okay, let's do that. Okay, let's do that. I mean, you have to think about that stuff. But I will never, ever judge someone on the way they grieve. Ever. That's just not fair. And I hope to God nobody ever judges the way I grieve on. I mean, I went through that with when one of my grandparents passed away. Someone, a very close family member of mine, was talking about me and saying some horrible things about me because for the first year, I didn't go visit the gravesite. I mean, I was there for the funeral and everything and when all that, but I didn't go back for a year after that. And they were saying horrible things about me. That's just not, I don't feel close to somebody at the gravesite like that. Never have, probably never will. A lot of people do, and that's okay. But there's a lot of people that don't. I know I'm not the only one. And so just because this person, that's where they felt close to them, and so would go and spend time there, tried to act like I was some horrible person and didn't care because I didn't. That's not where I felt close to them. And it wasn't fair for somebody to judge me and act like that over that because, again, people are different. Some people are like that. Some people are not. Don't judge someone like that. And I mean, again, you're free to have your opinion about her and everything. I'm just telling you, I hope and I pray legit that no one ever judges you the way you grieve, because I promise you there's going to be things that when tragic things happen to you, there's going to be things that you do and ways you act that some people are going to look at and go, what is wrong with them? Oh my God. And I hope that doesn't happen because it's just not fair. No, we should absolutely judge people based on their actions in certain situations. But this is not what I mean. Again, I think it's crazy for someone to act like they know what they would have done if they had been hurt. I think that's crazy. I don't think any of you would know what you would have done if you'd have been her in that situation. It's very easy for you to sit back and say what you would have done and what you wouldn't have done. That's very simple. And we all do that. I do that with when I'm looking at situations and stuff all the time, and it's not fair, but we all do it. But when you really sit down and think, God has a way of putting us in our place when we think that way. I mean, I've been guilty of that. where I've been like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then before I knew it, there I was in the same situation. And I'm going, Jesus Christ, why did I act like that before? I mean, that's just the way the world works. But yeah, do I think there's people that were on that team that were pulling her in directions that they shouldn't have been? Absolutely. Do I think there's people part of TPUSA that's in it for themselves? Absolutely. That's you're not going to find an organization that size where you're not going to have some people that's in it for themselves. That's impossible. And a lot of people say that, oh, she should have just went home and sat around at home. I couldn't have. If I'd gone through something like that, if I'm just sitting around at home, not around people, you better be worried about me, because I would be worried about me. That would not be safe for me mentally. Maybe she's the same way. Maybe she's not. I don't know, but I don't, again, that mentally may not have been the best thing for her. Probably wouldn't have been. But my overall thoughts on it is I had tons of respect for Charlie Kirk. And he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever seen. I mean, you talk about intelligence. It's unbelievable how intelligent he was. And he's the prime example of why we put way too much into formal education. Way too much. Formal education is a money grab. That's all it is. He's a prime example of that. Meaning he didn't have formal education, and he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever known. He found this woman. He fell in love with her. He married her. He chose to have 2 children with her. He spent a lot of time with her. I think, as intelligent as Charlie Kirk was, he probably knew who she was. And I could be wrong, but I'm not going to act like he was just so stupid he didn't realize it. And that's one thing that pisses me off about Candace Owens, is she acts like that. And because that's what you're saying. If you believe that, you're saying he was so stupid he didn't realize his wife didn't love him at all. I don't think he was dumb. I don't think he was dumb like that at all. But back to the original, what we were originally talking about, Candace Owens being on Sean Ryan's podcast. And most of you know my previous thoughts and feels on Candace Owens. And the the interview did change my opinion on her in some good ways. Again, still, some of her theories are just nuts to me. And, I've discussed each one of those. But there were also certain things that some of her theories that I fully agree with. But I'll tell you this: if something happens to me, if any of you judge my wife like that, I'm going to haunt you for the rest of your life. I will do everything I can to haunt you. I will come back from the dead and haunt you in horrible ways. And that's the truth. If it's possible, I don't know if I can, but however that works. Oh, the other thing that she said that was just one of the clear indicators of Candace is stuck in confirmation bias when she's talking about the first Trump attempted assassination and where the firefighter, his life was taken. And she said that she believed that was purposeful. And the reason she believed that, and then she tied all this back to the Charlie Kirk thing because, again, she thinks his mic exploded. Nonsense. He got shot. It would make no sense in exploding his mic when you just shoot him. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But because one of the fireman's good best friends that passed away over 10 years ago worked somewhere that used that particular explosive at times, as part of their whatever they did, and that she tied that all back. I'm like, that is the craziest reach I've seen. That's nuts. That's a reach from out of nowhere, and she's got to be smart enough to realize that hold on, this is a reach that, my God, that's a clear sign of that. That's confirmation bias, 100%. That part, that's 100% confirmation bias. Whitney, you must have missed the first 30 minutes when I talked about ballistics. Because I did literally explain all of that. There are specific projectiles that you can put in a 30-06 that will not exit. They're literally made to not exit. They're literally made to penetrate a body and stay in the body. Those exist. I don't know why so many people are acting like they don't. They absolutely exist. Any round that law enforcement uses is designed to do that, no matter what weapon they're putting it out of. I saw the shirt. I also know how ballistics work. Angel Ray, do you understand how the internet works? So, and here's a prime example of that. Angel Ray said, then how come nobody on the internet has mentioned that with over hundreds of thousands of gun owners? I've seen 200 people talking about that at least. Tons of people. You probably legit haven't because of your algorithm. Your algorithm and mine's going to be completely different. You and I have two completely different internets. So, but no, tons of people have been talking about anyone that understands ballistics at all is going to say that. I mean, it's not some top secret thing at all. Andrew, that's something I know. I mean, I've literally been trained in ballistics by the world's most renowned expert in ballistics. Now, I'm not an expert in ballistics, but I've literally been to his class, and so I do know a lot about ballistics, and I mean, I don't have to see someone else talk about it. I've got some of those rounds in my armory here. Literally. And again, like I was thinking, on SWAT, we started carrying 308s rifles. And people will say, that's crazy. Why aren't you a 308? That's too powerful. That's going to, if you have to shoot that in a house in a neighborhood or apartment or something, that's going to go through 4 different apartments. No, it has 100% to do with the projectiles we carry and not the actual firearm. It's the projectiles, and the projectiles that we use are purposely designed to enter a human body 6 inches and then stop. That's what they're designed to do, and that's what they do. But Angel, so the people that you're listening to, they may be saying they're experts. They're not, though. There's unfortunately a lot of people on the internet that claim they're experts in things and they're not. And this is what I tell everybody, especially when it has to do with firearms or learning firearms and safety and protection and stuff like that. Before you watch any videos of any of these people, look at their bios. And if you can read their bio and it still doesn't tell you about their, it still doesn't have their resume, then you don't need to watch them. Because any true expert that's putting out content to train people, they're going to have all of their credentials in their bios. You're going to know. You're going to be able to go and say, oh, this guy was SEAL Team 6. He was, or DevGru, whatever y'all call it, SEAL Team 6. This guy was a Ranger. This guy was, versus you go and they don't have any of that stuff. Don't take advice from them on that stuff. I've seen, God, it's crazy. Some of the people I've seen acting like experts. Firearms. Oh my God. The amount of people, and this is just the truth. The amount of people that act like they're experts in firearms, it just blows my mind. I don't even consider myself an expert in firearms, even though, I was a weapons instructor in the Navy for years. I'm an armorer on 7 different weapons. I can take down any weapon. I can build any weapon. Fix any weapon. I've got a whole workshop here. I don't consider myself an expert in it just because I don't study it 100% of the time or anything. There are things about certain weapons stuff I don't really know. It's not I'm not a big gun guy. I have a lot. I like shooting them. I like working on them, but I don't consider myself a big gun guy. But there are people on the internet that have YouTube channels. Some of them have tons of followers too. And I listen to them and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like you have no idea what you're talking about. So you have to be very careful. lawyers as well, or people giving legal advice online. The amount of TikTok lawyers that y'all have heard me talk about, they have the suit on and they have some fancy background and they're sitting there telling you about certain laws, and people that actually know or watching them are going, you have no, like, you're going to get someone in trouble. You have to be careful about that. But I don't know what projectile was used, because I don't think that's been publicly put out. So I don't know. So I'm not saying that this specific projectile that I'm thinking of is what was used, but I'm saying it's very possible. And I'm saying it's likely that it was. But for someone to say, oh, a 30-06 could never shoot a bullet like that, that's nuts. But there's a lot about ballistics I don't know, because again, I'm not an expert in ballistics, but I do know certain things about ballistics. But back to what we were originally talking about. If you have not watched the interview, listen to the podcast with Sean Ryan and Candace Owens, it's a good one. Make sure you check that out. It is really good. Just understand there are certain things that Candace Owens says, and that is just nonsense. And there's certain things she says that makes a lot of sense. I see a couple of people have asked me about Carson Burks. He has contacted me, so I'm going to try to get him on the podcast ASAP. Oh no, I don't debate and get mad. I enjoy those kind of conversations. No, Sean Ryan's an amazing interviewer. He is, and for the reason, like you said, he lets people talk. He doesn't try to talk over anybody. He's very good at that. Now, again, there are times I wish he would push back on certain things, but again, he's the expert in that and podcasting, not me. So I'm not going to pretend like I know more about podcasting than him. But he is very good. And one thing, not saying that a bunch of people think he's dumb. I hope you don't think that anyway. But he is way more intelligent than he puts on. And that's one reason, that's one thing that makes him such a good interviewer. And that's something I have to work on. And what I mean by that is he tries to, whoever he's interviewing and whatever the subject, he tries to act like he doesn't know anything about it, because a lot of the people listening don't. And so he gets the people to explain everything. And that's one reason he's so good at what he does. And a lot of times he will say, "What does that mean?" Or "I don't understand that," when he probably really does. I know a lot of things he does, but he knows a lot of people listening don't, and so he's really good at that. And that's something I have to work on myself, because it's very hard for me, if I don't know, for me to pretend like I don't. And honestly, that's a ego thing. Honestly, that's what it is. Yes, his kingdom journey has been a real joy to watch. And he is truly, he didn't know much about Christianity, and he has set himself on a path to learn everything he can about it, and he's been truly open to everything about it. And that has been fun to watch. Good night, Crazy Head. Appreciate you being on. Gene asked, anyone know if Carson Burks and his family are okay? As far as I know, they are right now. He's been on. I saw him on. I watched him on live for a little bit earlier on TikTok. Are Katie and Melody on here? Because I don't see any comments from them. I just see Lawingo responding to them. I don't see any comments from them. Yeah, that's strange. Yeah, none of them. That's weird. Do I think the assembly disassembly of the Pew Pew is just us only knowing parts of the story? I think that's very possible. Now, if it did happen exactly how they say, that's very strange. It's very strange. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not 100% convinced that that's the weapon that shot him. I'm not 100% convinced that Robinson is the one that shot him. I'm just 100% convinced he got shot. But as far as who and exactly from where, I'm open to theories on those things, because there's a lot of strange things about that. Somebody pin Melody. Can somebody pin Melody's comments? I don't understand why I'm not seeing any of them. Okay, somebody just pinned the I'm here. Hello, Melody. Well, I'm not ignoring y'all. I'm not seeing any comments from y'all. I just saw Lawingo responding to y'all. I don't know if I'm I don't know if I'm convinced he's a patsy. I do think he's involved. I do think he was there, and I do think he was involved. But again, am I 100% convinced he's the one that pulled the trigger? No. Monica, you should never feel ignored. What do I think about the Twigs? Sienna, I had all the intentions in the world of calling you today, and then I had a couple things come up, but I'm calling you tomorrow. Well, don't get a felony. Oh, okay. That's what I was looking up. I thought that was probably who you were talking about. That was the boyfriend, but I wasn't 100% sure. That reminds me, that was another thing that didn't make sense that Candace Owens said. She said that law enforcement never interviewed him. And if that were true, I would be, wow. Like that, yeah, that's definitely something up there. Definitely. And so she said that. I didn't know the answer to that at that point when she said that, but I was like, if that's true, that's nuts. Then, a couple minutes later, she said they came and got him. Law enforcement was with him for 3 or 4 hours, and then they let him go. I'm like, Candace, you just said they didn't interview him. What do you think they were doing with him for 3 or 4 hours? Just sitting there staring at him? No, they were interviewing him. So I don't know I don't know where that came from and why she said that when then she completely went against saying that. I don't know. That was weird. Do I think the two guys in the crowd who were supposedly giving hand signals just no. No. I've watched what a lot of if you're talking I've watched a lot of videos of people talking about and pointing out these guys that they claim are doing hand signals, and no, that just doesn't make any sense. That's someone just looking for that's confirmation bias. That's just confirmation bias. I don't understand what it wouldn't make sense to me why someone would need to be giving hand signals in that situation. There were numerous clear open spots to where anyone could see Charlie Kirk. and exactly where he was and what he was doing. I mean, there's that does just from that. And when people started first saying there was people giving hand signals, I was like, that doesn't make sense. And so, but then of course, I was like, okay, let me see what y'all are talking about. And I see him like, this is not the third base coach in baseball. Like, no, those guys, I mean, one guy was scratching his nose. And I mean, even if there were, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. If someone was giving hand signals to someone, we wouldn't know it. No one would see that. Because if there was a team involved in this like that, they were highly skilled professionals and they know how to blend in, and they're not going to do anything that stands out. Literally. And so if there were people in the crowd that were involved, I guarantee you, I bet you $100,000 is somebody that nobody else has even picked up. It's going to be someone that's completely blended in with everybody else. It's going to be someone that looks just like everybody else there. Where were we? It was a college campus. So are they going to stick some operative that's an older man out in the crowd that's involved? No. It's going to be someone that looks like a college-age kid. That's just the way it is. So again, but the hand signals, no. Those people, again, and I think I did this on a live one night a long time ago where I pulled a random video of a crowd and I sat there and I was like, oh, look at that. Like they're using hand signals in there. And I was just proving a point that if you want someone to be giving hand signals, if that's in your theory, then you can go to any crowd and find people giving hand signals. It's very simple. I like your optimism, Angel, that it will all come out in the end, but I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's true. I wouldn't count on that. But we still don't know all the details of JFK's assassination. We don't know everything. Now, there's been enough information on that I would bet everything that the CIA was involved. There's no doubt in my mind that the CIA was involved in JFK's assassination. There's no doubt in my mind the CIA was involved in MLK Jr.'s assassination. None. Guarantee you they were involved in both of those. We still don't know all the details about those two assassinations. So it's still not all came out. And there's literally no reason why all those files shouldn't have been put out to the public now. There's no one that could have been involved if they're still alive today, they're 90. There's no reason in that except it proving that our own government was involved, and that's the reason it still ain't came out. Thank you, Melissa. Lawingo, what? Sienna, what are you talking about? I'm completely missing this. I'm apparently missing a very interesting conversation on TikTok. Okay, I see. Jesus. You're kidding me. You're killing me. There are so many comments on TikTok that I'm not seeing. Like I see people replying to Texas Terry. I don't see any comment from her, and I always see her comments. It's weird. I don't know what's going on with TikTok tonight. Oh, I saw. Okay, I saw that one. I see that one now. Where you said I didn't do it. But I mean, there's so much that we know about MLK Jr. that nobody will talk about. So many things that we were taught, like literally in school, in history classes, in history books and stuff, that just simply wasn't true. And we know those things now. There's so much. So my point is that makes so many other things about that situation and JFK's even more confusing. But if you want to really get into dark history, go learn some facts about MLK Jr. It'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. Because you're going to be saying, this man was allegedly a preacher? No. And recorded conversations that he didn't know was being recorded when he was just speaking, that when he thought he was speaking in private. Hard for me to believe he was a preacher. I'll say that. Now, did he do some great, amazing things? Absolutely. Please don't misunderstand me. I need to make sure I'm saying that. I don't want people to misunderstand me. But no, I mean, he did some amazing things and great things. But he was not the person we were ever told. Not even close. Not even close. I think it's pretty much well known now that Oswald was a CIA asset. That's his ties to Russia, and there's no way he wasn't. Oswald was a CIA asset. There's no way he wasn't, for sure. Jeffrey Epstein was a CIA asset. No doubt in my mind about that. None. I don't even think corrupt is the word for it. I don't know what a good word for the CIA would be. I think a lot of the things they do are necessary, but I think half the things they do are not. And they have way too much freedom. Way too much. But Epstein, there's no doubt in my mind he was a CIA asset. There's no doubt in my mind. You will never convince me different of that. He had to have been. Yeah, not Dr. Phil. You're probably more correct. 30% is needed, 70 isn't. You're probably more on point there. But I do understand there are certain things that they have to do that if the general public knew, they would lose their minds. But those are necessary things. I get that. But I also think, on the other hand, there's certain people in power at times that do things selfishly. Do I think Epstein's dead? Yes, I do. I don't think he took his own life. Not even. I've never once thought that, but I don't think he's alive. Too many people would need him not alive. He was compromised, and they took him out. I 100% believe the CIA was behind taking him out. The missing minute of video, all that, he didn't take his own life. That didn't happen. Yes, I believe he was a CIA asset. And I think he was a CIA asset for years. I mean, I think that's most of the thing. I think pretty much everything he did was as a CIA asset to, and it's possible that he was a double asset. I'm not convinced that he wasn't also an asset for some other foreign governments and just playing that double asset. I'm not convinced that that's not true either. But his game was blackmail. I mean, that's what he did. He would get these people on his properties and on his island. And I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book. Get them in compromising situations, have evidence of it, and then he owned them. I mean, that's the oldest trick in the book. I mean, that's what he did all the time. Hey, thank you, Angel. But again, on as far as if he's alive or not, it wouldn't make any sense for him to still be alive. That doesn't make sense. It makes all the sense in the world for them to take him out. I don't think PDD. I don't think PDD is a CIA asset. No, I think he's just a evil freak. No, I don't think he's a CIA asset. Yeah. Now I'm not convinced that when Epstein left the prison, that he was still alive. I think there's a good chance he was still alive when he left that prison. I don't think he lasted much longer after that, though. The story of Paul Revere. Don't ruin my history of Paul Revere. I don't even want to read the rest of your thing if you're going to ruin who I thought Paul Revere was. No, I'm kidding. I'm a big history buff, but I've seen probably the things that you're referring to. Maybe not, but I probably know what you're referring to. Dirty Civilian. I've never heard of Dirty Civilian. That's a podcaster. Write that down. Oh, speaking of Benghazi, have y'all seen the governor election race in Colorado? Let me see if there's an update. This is crazy close. But Victor Marks, who's awesome, great guy, great man, is running for governor in Colorado, and he was like nobody thought he had a chance. And let me read the last. For one, it blows my mind that it takes Colorado a week to get all their ballots, to count their ballots in an election in today's time. How can Alabama do it literally in one day, 2 at the most, but Colorado, it takes over a week? That doesn't make sense to me. So this this race has been going on for over a week since they actually voted. But so last reports, Victor Marks is leading by 2,000 votes. Listen how close this is. He has 206,330 votes, and Barb Kirkmeyer has 204,310 votes. That is so crazy close in a big race like that. Like, that is crazy. But yeah, over a week. Let me see what. How long has it been? But I hope he ends up winning. Number one, Colorado is one of my favorite places on earth. I love the state of Colorado. I love going there, and if he wins the governor, that's going to make it. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, so it's been almost a week. No, it's been a week. So the primaries were held on June the 30th, and it's now the 6th of July, and they still don't have all the ballots in. That doesn't make any sense to me. In today's time, that's nuts. They wait to see how many they need to win. It's crazy to me. Hey, have a good night, not Dr. Phil. Appreciate you being on. You're looking for land in Colorado, Texas, Terry? If you get land there, I expect an invite. I wonder if have they gotten that fire under control out there? That was horrible. I haven't seen anything in a few days on it. I'm going to be in Scotland right after the next Murdaugh pretrial. I'm jealous. That sounds awesome. I'll come help you. Any excuse to get me to Colorado. Anything new on the ramp? Yes, but not that we're going to talk about tonight. But there are some things that we're going to be talking about very soon. Hey, good night, Texas Terry. Hope you have a good night, good day tomorrow. Appreciate you being on. If you're not following or subscribe, please hit the follow button or subscribe button, depending on what platform you're on. If you're not following me on YouTube, please go or subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please go and subscribe to that. That's one of the few places that you can find my full podcast. You can find my full podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. So you can watch all the full podcast on YouTube. Also, our Wednesday night live. So we'll do a Monday night live at 8 p.m. Central on all the platforms. Wednesday night live at 8 p.m. Central is exclusively on YouTube. So make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss the Wednesday night live. They're usually really in depth. We have a lot of fun on those. Plus, I can be more open about the things that we talk about, as far as I don't have to worry as much about the words I use and some of the things that we dig into. Still have to be a little careful on YouTube, but not anything like the other ones. So that's why we do the exclusive on Wednesday night on YouTube only. Then Friday night lives are at 9 p.m. Central Time on all the platforms. But we're trying to build up the YouTube channel. So, again, if you're not subscribed over there, please go hit subscribe and hit the notification. That way, every time I drop a new full podcast, you'll be notified, and you'll be notified of the Wednesday night lives. And you can find me on there under Agent D Baker. You can find me on every platform under Agent D Baker except for Facebook, and it's just my full name, Derek, D-E-R-E-K, Baker. Or the easiest thing is go to the website, agentdbaker.com. Very simple, agentdbaker.com. And you can find the links to all the platforms we're on there. Click on the link and take you straight to my pages on any of the platforms. Plus, it's also the best place to, if you are trying to get into contact with us, go through the website, hit the contact button. You can't miss it. Put your name. You don't even have to use your real name, but put your name, email address, and the message, and we will get that and go through that. If you or someone you know is interested in being a guest on the podcast, go through the website, place you click on there. Again, just fill out the information, and we'll be getting in touch with you. If you have any information, whether it be on cases that we're covering or something you'd like to see us cover, again, send us that information through the website. Hey, thank you, Angel. But we definitely have some good podcast guests coming up soon. Hopefully, I'm going to try to get Carson Burks on ASAP. Got CC Dixon Moreno lined up. Got somebody else. Hold on. My mind just went blank. Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole, going to get her on. We got that lined up. She was the lead detective over the Josh Stapleton case. She was recently on Chris Hansen's podcast. And sorry, my mind went blank again. But she was recently on Chris Hansen's podcast. It's a really good podcast if you didn't catch that. And then she's going to be on mine very soon as well. So I think that'll be really interesting and good. And then got a couple more lined up that will be very interesting as well. The peaceful protest that we have planned for the ramp later this month, we have submitted all the paperwork and waiting to hear back from the city on that to see if it gets approved. Hopefully, we hear something back in the next day or two. I'm sure there's a delay because of the holidays, but hopefully we hear something in the next day or two. And as soon as we hear something on that, I'll put that out. So hopefully that comes through. Even if that doesn't, we have some other things planned that we can do, even if that doesn't work out. But hopefully that does. This is the only live you watch? I feel special now. But seriously, I really do appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Oh, thank you, Angel. All right, I think I want to head on out for the night. I really appreciate it, each and every one of you for being on here. I really do. It means a lot to me. If I didn't, if I missed some of your questions or comments or anything like that, I apologize. I try my best to get to all of them, but being on 3 platforms at once, it's just impossible for me to catch all of them. But I try my best. I wasn't purposely. If I didn't get to it, I wasn't ignoring you. I promise you that. If you're on TikTok, it's possible I never even saw it because I only see half the comments for some reason. I have no idea what the deal is with that. It seems like it's getting worse instead of better as well. But I don't know. But I will see y'all back Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central. Again, remember that's exclusively on YouTube, so don't miss that. So make sure you go subscribe so you don't miss that. And we have some very interesting things to talk about Wednesday night for sure. So I'm looking forward to that. And I will be putting another podcast out. Should go out tomorrow. I was trying to get it out today, but it didn't work out. But it should go out tomorrow. So make sure y'all check that out when it drops. And I will see y'all back Wednesday night. Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. Before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering for some individuals. If you choose to continue, do so knowing this content is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.